and call this. Can you hear me? I'd like to go ahead and call our meeting to order at this time. 6 o'clock. Would you take roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Nielsen.
Here.
Mrs. Contreras.
Here.
Mr. Rader.
Here.
Mrs. Reyes.
Here.
Mrs. Sashanek.
Here.
Thank you
Thank
so very
you.
much. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, and I know we all get kind of off from whatever it is, so if you'd all take an opportunity to be where you are and pledge allegiance, I'm going to shut mine off so we don't get confusion, and I'll be right back with you. Thank you. I'd just like to take a moment now for a moment of silence. I've been trying to think of what would really be meaningful. And I think the thing I've come up with today is maybe just some thoughts and prayers on behalf of our teachers and staff and all the things that are necessary for them to be able to return back to class might come sooner than later. All right, thank you. Dr. Freeman, it looks like you've got the first item on our agenda for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I can get us kicked off here. The annual orientation has varied a little bit from year to year depending on members on the board, and we do have a new member joining the board. Though she's familiar with the school district, one of the things that we've done through the years is try to collect and update basic information about the operation of the school district, how it's made up. And so tonight we're going to cover some of that information. Now, some of the things we've learned in the past is that unloading a whole lot of information in a short period of time is hard for everybody to absorb. So what we've done is tied a lot of information together into tonight's agenda. It is structured in a way that we hope is useful and accessible to members of the board and members of the community in a way that the e-board's assembly agenda for tonight can be used as a sort of table of contents and guide to the operation of the school district. So we are going to go over a little bit at the 30,000 foot level and then maybe dip down a little further for things that are changes and new to make sure members are aware of those. And then stop at any place where members have questions and they'd like more information, because if we went into deep detail on everything on this agenda tonight, we'd still be here tomorrow morning. I'm going to start out with the orientation material, just telling you how it's divided up. We have A, a B, and a C section. And what we've done is basically taken instructional and human resources as a section, and then our finance and operations as a section, and then an overview of administrative resources, which I will start out with, and broken down the components of the district into those parts. So the first part that I'm going to cover is administrative resources. And one of the things that we have done is try to, I'm trying to manage my screen here a little bit, please forgive me when I get oriented. We have a component of the school district that's considered the administrative team, and it's really all the parts that keep things up and running. Sometimes, you know, people will say administration. Administration includes the people who do our accounts receivable and payroll and all the things like that. They're not just administrators. So if you scroll down in this item, you'll see that what we have is a link to administrative resources. And part of what we've done is instead of loading up e-boards with a lot of information, we have hyperlinked documents that are available to the board and to the community about how the district works. So I don't know if we want to go through all of these links tonight. If we want to show one, are they live on e-boards? Will they flash up or will they not? Looks like they will. So it's a hyperlink built right into your item. It takes you to administrative resources. And if you'd scroll down a little bit, you can see who the team is and what their roles are, how to contact them, and if people want to email them. We have some, looks like we have a biography, no, a couple biographies. And you're going to see the same thing for the governing board. Now it looks like what all we need to do is close that tab on the internet, on the browser, and it'll should take us right back. Yeah, thanks. All right, so that's how we're set up to run the place. If we go to the next item, what you're going to see is a little bit about the makeup and organization of the school district, where we are, how we're divvied up. And if we just keep scrolling down, I'm not going to read all of this material to you, but as you scan over it, if there's anybody who wants to raise their hand or just ask the president, you know, if we can stop and go over anything. We've just listed out what all these jobs and roles are. If you can see, just as we go down, a little bit about the sites and the names, a little bit about the school district's history. So just basic information so that members of the board are familiar with, you know, kind of catching up with the last 100 years and trying to do that in one special session. We have had our long range planning pretty much interrupted by COVID, and there's a couple places in the agenda tonight where we'll stop and point out some of the changes that we need to make because the normal annual operations and long range planning of the district's been interrupted. Let's see what else is on this item. I don't have the paper copy of it. We have supporting links to the district org chart, and we'll be probably bringing proposed revisions to that to the board later this spring, largely to do with the effects of COVID on the district office, roles and responsibilities. You can see the history there, what our instructional and staff calendars are, and those are also on our intranet for access to the staff and staff resources. So some of these are kept in multiple places, and that's where you can find that. In the next item, mission, vision, and values. This is something that the board has worked on and refined over the years. We started back in 2006 doing this work, and it's been pretty resilient over time. It modified a little bit as needs arose. Those are the guiding principles, and I think the board did a pretty good job of putting those together. That's the shorthand version. The longhand version is, of course, available as a resource, but those are the things that we stand for, and I think we'd be hard-pressed to find people that stand against them. That every student's a learner, that our environment's safe and orderly, that our families are partners, that our staff is dedicated and caring, our community's involved, and we're an effective organization. So we use those as guideposts for our goals and all the other operations of the school district. The district of the vision, you'll see on most of the things that go out is that we're leaders in learning, caring, and growing. And when we developed that, that was still a pre-recession community work, and we were growing like crazy. I think Mr. Reyes was on the board back then. We grew 500 kids a year, and the recession certainly slowed that down and other things that have happened. But I think we're going to be back to growing, and of course, part of our mission is to make sure that our kids and our staff are growing all the time, even if the enrollment isn't. We have at one point a fairly lengthy mission statement. We tried to shorten that to the point where people could remember it, that we want high quality, comprehensive, and success-oriented learning activities for everyone, not just students, but for the adults as well. Our values are trust, respect, integrity, collaboration, and dedication. And we went through a values clarification process where we looked at what kind of behaviors would demonstrate values. Those are built into our governing board policy for the conduct of the people who work here. And we like to think that our kids and the rest of our families, our community, would live up to those and support them as well. I think that's it for that item. Again, those can be found on other district resources. Number 4 is governance. So the superintendent and the board together make up the governance team, and then superintendent and the rest of the administrative group makes up the management team. Superintendent serves as a bridge between those. They have different roles in the organization. The role of the governing board is to set the direction and policy for the school district. The role of the management team is to manage that. We use a Carver governance model, and I'm thinking that if we scroll down, it says more. Does that mean if we click on that, there's more coming up? I thought there were maybe documents here. No, they're going to come up later. So can we click on the About Us governing board? Much like we showed you the administrative resource team, if you scroll down, we have board members, and I think it looks like everybody's turned in their biography. There's a lot of useful links to your community here, including YouTube reviews of your meetings that we've had since we went remote, links to, we used to do a board brief before we started recording the meeting. The board briefs were only a couple minutes long, and sometimes the meetings are a couple hours long. So it depends on how you want to use your time. The policy manual is available there, information on Arizona School Boards Association, Assembly, which is the electronic board book, the meeting calendar. So there's lots of real useful information for the community and for new board members there, just as far as becoming familiar with who's on the board and what are the kinds of things that they do. So I think we can close that tab and go on. The next item. So here we have the role of governance and superintendent operational responsibilities. These are probably 2 documents that we want to spend a little time just making sure people are familiar what's in them. So we'll start with the role of governance. And here you can see what we call the monitoring cycle. In the first graphic, what you have is the roles of the board on top, which are the ends in mind, and the roles of the administration, which is the means. And so each year the board in the fall does an evaluation of the prior year, evaluation of the superintendent, and this time of year we start talking about if we want to change guiding principles and goals. This fall the board did make adjustments in the goals in the first and the third of the 14 goals the board has set. And we're going to start talking about budget, resources, and staffing. And the way we move that forward generally, because anything that's new, we don't want to have you here just one time. We'll have some information items on the calendar talking about what the management team is thinking about, projecting, or recommending. We'll get feedback from the governing board and bring it back for action at a meeting following that. All of those things are put in place as the school year runs. The teachers are out there teaching, and we're meeting at the dais. So what happens is the board roles and the administrative implementation roles are happening concurrently every year. And then as the year ends, we come back, gather data, the board evaluates, and that goes on and on and on. We have a little management role calendar and governing role calendar, what some of those key steps are. If we go to the next page, what you'll see is a little bit of the vision phase, the guiding principles and the goals that have been laid out in this document. I would just point out here, goals 1A and 1C have been updated based on the work of the board this fall. And if we scroll down a little further, the cycle itself hasn't changed. The division of the work into how we monitor expenditures and the purpose of expenditures, that's all stayed the same. We'll have some new auditing requirements because of the new federal relief money and some things like that. But the way that we track and code expenditures will remain the same. We have lots of different programs for special populations. We generally support both instructional and non-instructional programs. And if we keep going, what we'll see is that the planning and interruption, or planning and implementation's been interrupted fairly significantly by COVID. So the cycle itself, we have a graphic that kind of ties the pieces together. If you go a little further down, you can see that right now we're in the implementation of the 2021 school year. It's not on this graphic. It would be the next step. And what we're pointing out here is the 1819 report was the 14th iteration of the governance cycle. It was the last report of the management team due to the COVID pandemic. The data from 1920 school year was unattainable. And so that wasn't written. Instead, the board did a re-examination of their goals, which I've already mentioned. And so I think we can close that tab. It's a good organizing document if you're new to the board. Then the superintendent operational responsibilities. We actually started out with kind of a basic document from the School Boards Association, and through the years, the governing board has been adding to and clarifying. These are stepped out in 4 categories. So this is to develop an understanding between the board and the superintendent, what things the superintendent is managing, what kind of things turn into policy or community issues that need to go to the board and be considered in the public forum and at the DS. So you can see number 3 is where the board action is required. Those are shaded 3 and 4. So for instance, you know, the district calendar, we may, if we're going to recommend a calendar change, we may bring that to the board for discussion once before we bring it for action to get feedback, and we collaborate with surrounding districts and the Towson Union District, which our families feed into. There are some things that are, for instance, setting annual monitoring report data targets that we do as a management function. Work with the architect to approve site and floor plans, even though we bring those before the board and discuss them and get your feedback. We don't have you vote when we're, you know, every door and every fire hydrant goes. And you can go down the list. Let's scan down just to see what the categories are. The first is planning, then personnel, support services. You can see a lot of things are just taken care of by management. Fee schedules come to the board. Adopted curriculum programs come to the board. There's a lot of things that we inform you on in curriculum instruction because it's so important to the community. A lot of components of the budget and finance have to be brought before the board. They are areas where you perform some fiduciary responsibilities in approving the annual budget, for instance. And nobody can do that except the governing board. Community relations are very important. We all share responsibility in that area. But if we're going to establish a committee on the budget or another topic, the board would be responsible for having that be delegated by the board. And once that happens, it falls under open meeting law and all of the same constraints that any other governing board meeting would. So a lot of the committee work we do through the management team. allow groups to meet. We have several groups that meet with our with the district cabinet and with the superintendent, and talk about those throughout the year. I think the most recent one I brought up was when we had the student advisory council meeting with the superintendent and some of the feedback they gave us about online learning. So we have a lot of things like that we do to get feedback and establish communication with our community. That looks like the end of the document. And I think the last thing we added to this document was related to COVID and going in and out of distance learning. And we had a proposal for the board, which they modified a little bit and we adopted in the next meeting. And that was, if we needed to go to distance learning because of an unsafe condition, the superintendent could do that, inform the board, and then the decision would have to be revisited on what we're calling a short-term change of model instead of a long-term or permanent one. And I think this has become a conversation all over really all over the country because of the number of executive orders that people are using to get things done. And what people were thinking a lot of emergency executive order authorization was going to come from things like monsoon storms and hurricanes and things like that that would pass through your community rapidly and be dealt with rapidly, not pandemics that would take an entire year. But because of the uniqueness of the challenges that we're facing, I think people have used executive authority, and now we're re-examining that. And the board may want to have more discussion about that too. Let's go to the next item. And that is on policies. So this is just to make sure new board members in the community are aware that all of that has moved online. Back in the day, but I mean, by when I came to work here, governing board policy was in 2 3-ring binders, and the rib was 6 inches wide on each one of them. And we delivered those to your home when you were elected. I don't know where people kept them. I'm assuming by the telephone. Maybe that was when telephones still were plugged into walls. Now all of this is available online, and we have connections through the district website to those. They're searchable. You can put in a keyword. If you want to look up something like suspensions, you can go on there, and if you just put in suspensions, you can search every policy manual in the state. If you click on Littleton, you can search suspensions just in Littleton policy manual. So it's a good resource, and what I would recommend is that if you go to the BOLTS training that the School Board Association holds, you learn what the kind of the basic organization and content of a board policy is. Board policy book has put together. We subscribe to the School Boards Association Policy Services, which is true for most of the districts in the state. I think all but maybe 4 or 5. And the charters would not, but most of the school districts do. And so we do get policy recommendations and model policy from them and bring those to the board. Usually we'll have some that come in the summer or the fall after the legislative session. When the legislature adjourns, most laws go into effect 90 days after sine die, but you'll remember last year, because of COVID, they left the Capitol. They approved what they called a skinny budget, which would be just maybe the backbone of operations for the school district. So a lot of the other things that might have been bills that might have resulted in policy changes didn't get heard. They were just kind of left on the table. So we haven't had a lot of those this fall, but from the looks of things at the legislature, they're trying to make up for that this year. They're very busy down there. Is there any more below that we need to make people aware of on this item, or can we go to the next? Let's move on then. There is a district profile and there are school profiles that the Department of Education puts together, and this, of course, has been interrupted as well. There are changes in federal policy and programs. We went from different Title I authorizations of the Elementary Secondary Education Act, which has many titles, just Title I probably being the largest of those. Then the feds pass requirements down to the state, and the state passes requirements down to the school district. In Arizona, they've been working on developing a new standardized test for the state, and so there's going to be some piloting of that. We're hearing that we will probably have some form of a state assessment this year. The conditions aren't going to be very easy to control. There's been a lot of variation in delivery of service, so people aren't sure how valuable the data is going to be. There's a question about whether there will be letter grades or not. So a lot of the work that went into district and school profiles has been kind of suspended and in hiatus. You know, the school letter grades were just repeated. There was no statewide testing last spring because of COVID. So there is a page at the Department of Education for district and school profiles. We've kept that link up here just to make sure that people are aware of that. And when they get that, better supported again with more reliable data, that'll be more meaningful. But we've had this in part of the orientation in the past and wanted to keep it with the idea that it'll be coming back and getting filled in again in the future to help keep the communities in Arizona informed about their schools, school districts. So I think we can do the same thing for the next item, which is a link to the school pages and some information about our schools. Here, our facilities people have put together kind of an inventory of the net square feet that are in use at each of the schools. You can see that our plants typically run around 90,000 square feet. So we maintain, clean, air condition, all of those space at all of those schools each year. And I think our support team does a pretty good job of keeping the facilities up and running and being good stewards of them for the community. I don't know if there's anything else attached. It's the school report cards and the list of our schools. I guess let's click on our schools and just take you to that web page. A little bit about the things that we offer, and then a list of all of the schools. You can link from here to each one of the schools. If we scroll back up to the top, you'll be able to go to the school info tab and select any school. And everybody is busy updating this now because of our school choice activities that are coming up in February. And so we want to make sure all that information is up to date and attractive to our community, because we have a lot of great programs we offer here in Littleton. That's a pretty quick overview. I covered a number of items and still took 25 minutes with that kind of high level overview. We're going to try to continue to do the same thing with instructional and human resources and with operations. And once again, members, you can click on your raise hand or just interrupt and ask the president to stop if you have questions. Otherwise, Mr. President, we'll just keep going at this pace, if that's all right. Okay, well, I want to turn the program over then in part B to Dr. Kelly.
Thank you, Dr. Freeman. I have the pleasure to present the section on instructional and human resources this evening. And so the board will be provided information about the Instructional Resources Division, which includes specifics on employees, student services, curriculum and instruction, leadership, communications, and technology, just to name a few. I'll be supported this evening by two other members of the cabinet that are invaluable to the work of this division, Ms. Kristen Vandewater and Ms. Sue Chizzy, who will present portions of the section that they oversee the work of. So this evening, I'd like to begin with the Human Resources section, and it's just a general overview of the many things that the Human Resources Department does, but we will discuss recruitment and retention, visiting teachers, procured services, and compensation and evaluation. So just to give you a little bit of overview of the district, I do lead the Human Resources Department, and we currently employ just about 625 employees, but up to 650 during COVID. We've kept some open vacancies as we've been out, but this number includes teachers, administrators, psychologists, nurses, and support staff. And so one of the things that we've worked to do is maintain high standards as part of the board goals. We have a document that was put together several years ago by employees, similar to how we did mission and values and vision, the employee code of conduct. So it takes the board policies and puts them together, sets a standard, and then we use that to monitor conduct and professional competency in an impartial way. So this system allows us to make objective decisions rather than subjective decisions, and our employees are aware of what we expect of them, and people are treated the same across the district. To get into a little bit about how we obtain our employees, especially during a national teaching crisis, we are always recruiting for all positions. And so Littleton works to recruit teachers year-round in order to make every effort to fill our positions with the best and the brightest. We recruit both in and out of state. We use online tools, and we partner with organizations such as Teach for America. We also provide incentives to employees who are instrumental in attracting teachers to our district. This applies for support staff as well as certified staff. This year, we're incorporating more online job fairs, and we're suspending in-person recruitment out of state as those events have been canceled. So this year will be a very interesting time of year to figure out exactly where we're going to get our teachers from. Part of how we figure that out is in January every year, we send out a letter of intent called, "Are you going to ring in the year with Littleton?" And so we get an idea of who's going to return, who's going to retire, resign, and then we're able to do some projections from there. The next piece usually people wonder about is, our visiting teacher pool. And that system we use is called ASOP, and we track and fill absences for teachers and administrators. Also this year, it has been a little bit different as we've been online. But ASOP allows us to communicate information to our guest teachers, and this includes start times, and they select special information or notes that the guest teacher can see from the teacher who needs a substitute for that day. The Human Resources Department serves as the liaison between the schools and the visiting teachers. The district has some permanent substitute positions, but we also partner with ESI, which is Educational Services Incorporated, to fill daily absences. We started doing this when the paperwork for our part-time employees, such as substitutes, became a little overwhelming due to federal requirements. And so we do quite a bit of work with ASOP, with ESI, and then they view our ASOP. Procured services. While we would like to be able to hire everyone that we need, we do have to procure some services due to special populations of employees. And so when we cannot obtain people such as speech pathologists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, teachers of visually impaired or teachers of the hard of hearing, we do outsource that work, and then they come to us through a contract company. The next section that I'd like to talk about is compensation and performance-based pay. Littleton is always striving to be competitive by analyzing salaries and wages for employee groups. Salary and wage schedules are annually approved by the board and are available on the website for review. We also have a committee called LEAP, the Littleton Employee Advisory Partnership, and we meet monthly to discuss human resource issues, working conditions, compensation compression problems, instructional calendars, and the Classroom Site Fund, which is more commonly referred to as 301. And members include representatives from all sites and buildings, as well as all employee groups, the support staff, certified staff, and administration. The other piece that's interesting to Littleton is performance-based compensation can be earned by all employees. The traditional performance-based compensation, which is referred to as 301, is targeted for teachers, but the board has been gracious in recognizing the other two employee groups, both support staff and administration, who have the opportunity to earn compensation based on student achievement of the district as a whole. So finally, in this section is evaluation. Evaluations determine how well the objectives held by the school and the district are being carried out. And the success of the educational program is dependent upon many factors, which include the quality of classroom instruction, student evaluation, supervision, and administration. So evaluations also provide a basis for motivation and self-improvement, permitting our employees to be aware of strengths and weaknesses in order to improve our operations at the district. All of our evaluations include a goal-setting portion and are housed in an online platform, which was new for us this year. Not the goal setting, but the platform. Supervisors and direct reports set goals collaboratively, then they check their progress and discuss final performance and a summary evaluation at the end of the year. So this allows us to continue to be leaders in growing. At this time, as we're clicking right along, I'd like to introduce Ms. Kristen Vandewater, the Executive Director of School Leadership, to provide an overview of curriculum and assessment.
Good evening, President Nielsen. Thank you, Dr. Kelly, members of the governing board, Dr. Freeman. This section covers the area of curriculum, federal programs, and instruction and assessment. The Curriculum and Assessment Department is responsible for oversight of curriculum, instruction, assessment, professional development, gifted services, which we call Exploring Potential in Littleton, and English language services. The department supports the delivery of quality instruction and aligned assessment, working collaboratively with district office, school administrators, content instructional specialists, and student achievement coaches, who all ensure research-based instructional strategies are implemented in all of our district classrooms. Assessments are developed using our Assessment Illuminate platform, aligned to state academic standards, our district's curriculum pacing guides, and state assessment blueprints. The department creates an assessment calendar that includes district and state assessments and also coordinates the administration of the assessments throughout the course of the year. Frequently, the Curriculum and Assessment Department gathers input on instruction and assessment, and this is done through a process with a curriculum action team and our teaching and learning advisors for any needed refinement and updates to curriculum and assessment provided to our educators. The Curriculum and Assessment Department also oversees the selection and implementation of our core curriculum, as well as our adopted supplemental resources. In Littleton, we have a 7-year curriculum review cycle that helps us to identify when each one of our content area curricular resources will be reviewed and recommendations made for purchase. This process is led by our director, as well as supported by our curriculum action team. And the curriculum adoption cycle is guided by our governing board policy and includes a public review of materials before bringing recommendations to the governing board for possible approval. The implementation of curriculum is always a collaborative effort between the director, our district and school administrators, as well as instructional coaches. These individuals work collaboratively to ensure all teachers implement our adopted and supplemental resources using the research-based instructional strategies that we provide professional development for our educators to learn and implement throughout the course of the school year, as well as at the school and district level. State and federal program department oversees grant programs, including our Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, as well as continuous improvement efforts. And that is done in collaboration with school and district leaders. The federal program department supports building principals with the design of their comprehensive needs assessment, their root cause analysis, and their integrated action planning process, as well as the support of using grant funding to maximize the support of those school goals and district initiatives. Individuals in the federal program department also identify and seek grants for opportunities to support the needs of our students and our staff and increase services in our school district. You can see in this section, we have several supporting documents for you to review in the areas of curriculum assessment and federal programs and grants. You can find these links under our district's website under the tab for federal programs, as well as the tab for curriculum and assessment. Thank you. I am turning it over to Ms. Chizzy.
Thank you, Ms. Vandewater. Mr. President, Governing Board, the Office of School Support oversees enrollment, registration, and the family services that happen at the Littleton Family Welcome Center. Here, enrollment specialists welcome hundreds of parents each year, introduce them to the district, and process enrollments as they carefully balance registration requests against class size and family needs. They play an integral part in school choice as they help the Office of School Support manage the district initiative. This year, we developed an online option, as you can imagine, as a result to not being able to allow people in, to allow our new enrollments to be submitted online through an integrated parent portal. The Welcome Center is also home to a parent liaison who works to bridge the gap between home and school by helping our parents get the information and support they need to ensure their child's academic and social success. The parent liaison helps parents connect with information in schools, and in the event of crisis situations, with the assistance of the district social workers, helps connect family resources when it's something beyond the scope of the school. This person also serves as the homeless liaison who identifies and protects the rights of our homeless students. Together, this team assists with uniforms, plans for parent involvement, works on student data, makes welfare calls, arranges or provides translation and interpretation services, processes student enrollments, and welcomes families to our district. For additional information, I have attached a link to our enrollment page on our district website. I'm going to turn it back to Ms. Vandewater for the next piece.
President Nielsen, members of the Governing Board, Dr. Freeman, this section covers the areas of exceptional learners, gifted learners, English language learners, and students served under the Individuals with Disabilities and Education Act, as well as the Americans with Disabilities Act. The Exceptional Students and Early Learning Department oversees special education, which includes district programs, privately placed students, preschool, Section 504, health services, voucher students, homebound services, oversight of staff for unfilled special education teacher and related service positions, Medicaid billing, child find, as well as the school's child study team process. Our district provides a full continuum of services to enrolled students with disabilities from preschool through 8th grade. This could include walk-in services for preschool or home school services through private placement, depending on the need of the student as identified by his or her IEP team, Individualized Education Plan team. The district adheres to state and federal law under the Individuals with Disabilities Act and Section 504, as well as the Americans with Disabilities Act. Our curriculum and our curriculum and assessment department oversees Littleton's gifted program, which we call Exploring Potential. The director works collaboratively with support staff and gifted teachers to test and place potential students using the established Arizona state guidelines for giftedness. Exploring Potential teachers design lessons. They collaborate to meet the needs of their students and provide extension opportunities outside the general education classroom. Our gifted teachers also support flex students. Flex students in Littleton, we categorize as students with high academic achievement, but who do not meet the state established identified gifted guidelines. We continue to provide our flex students with opportunities and enrichment activities outside of the classroom. The Curriculum and Assessment Department also oversees the English Language Development Services, which includes the identification and placement of students with an English language need. The identified of English language students includes a review of enrollment documents, assessment, and placement in the appropriate English language development program. Identified EL students who are placed in ELD programs receive instruction based upon the Arizona English Language Proficiency Standards. And identified ELD teachers receive support from a teacher on assignment through a variety of professional development opportunities throughout the course of the school year. In this section, we have several supporting documents for you to review in the areas of gifted English language learners, as well as special education services. You can find all of these links and resources under our district website under the department tab, where you can learn more about our exceptional student services, language proficiency standards, as well as state and federal guidelines in all three of these areas. I believe I have the next section, and this section covers the areas of leadership and supervision, leadership development, student services, as well as extracurricular activities. The Office of School Leadership oversees the development and performance of our school administrators. Administrators meet with the Executive Director of School Leadership in partnership with district directors for coaching support and a variety of professional learning opportunities throughout the course of the year. During coaching and these professional learning sessions, the focus is mainly on continuous improvement, leadership development, and also equipping our leaders with the knowledge, skills, and tools necessary for our leaders to lead and design high-performing systems. There are also individual administrator coaching sessions that focus on leadership roles and responsibilities, as well as implementing our district initiatives and programs such as Make Your Day, Kids at Hope, professional learning communities, instructional quality, and the school's signature focus. Our leadership team conducts monthly instructional walkthroughs, and the purpose of our walkthroughs are classroom visits to inform our practice, provide coaching, give feedback, and also to tailor the professional learning needs of our educators. During our walkthroughs, we collect data on our Littleton's key instructional indicators. We spend time analyzing the data, and our leaders commit to next steps to ensure high levels of teaching and learning in all of our schools for all of our students. The Office of School Leadership also provides resources and support to schools to build and maintain a safe, caring, and healthy school environment that not only meets the academic and social needs of students, but emotional and physical as well. When necessary, support is provided for parent concerns, student discipline, mandatory reporting, as well as managing any school-based crises that might arise. In addition, the Office of School Leadership offers assistance and support in the area of promotion and retention and monitors truancy violations through the Court Unified Truancy Suppression, otherwise known as the CUTS process. The Office of School Leadership also communicates any changes to policy and procedures and ensures that our schools are following these changes. School discipline, safety, emotional, and social well-being and attendance are monitored through the Office of School Leadership. And the office monitors data for accuracy of records, consistency, and equity in practice, and provides professional training and support when needed. Occasionally, the Office of School Leadership might need to facilitate a long-term hearing suspension or a CUTS hearing. And all mandatory reporting is monitored through the Office of School Leadership, including the discipline matrix violations that are required to be reported to police or at times the Department of Child Services. The Office of School Leadership, also in partnership with our district social workers, provides support services and resources to schools and families to help manage any school-based crises or the need for family and community support. We are fortunate to have an athletic program in Littleton, as well as an athletic director. And the Office of School Leadership, in partnership with the athletic director and site administration, provides direction and oversees extracurricular activities, including athletics and field trips. Direction is provided for the district's athletic program, including sports schedules, communication of events, hiring of coaches and coordinators, safety of play, and ordering and maintaining any equipment. The Office of School Leadership monitors and approves all in-state and out-of-state field trips. The trips are monitored to ensure alignment to standards, consistency in communication and practice, and signature school programs, as well as district policy. We have several supporting documents for you to review in the areas of support services, athletics, and extracurricular activities. You can find these on the district website under the department tab, where you can learn more about the Kids at Hope program, the Make Your Day program, have access to our district handbook, as well as information on attendance and athletics. Thank you. And I am turning it back over to Ms. Chizzy.
Thank you, Mr. President, Governing Board. The Office of School Support works closely with the Superintendent's Office to oversee communication services. The focus of communication is to have timely and accurate exchanges of information between the district and the community we serve. The District Public Information Officer takes the lead on communication efforts and works closely with the Superintendent and the Governing Board to promote the district. This work includes developing relationships with the local press, promoting the good work of the district, branding, increasing reach on social media, and assisting with school and department communications. And then there's responding to public requests for records. One strategy has been to solicit input from district level committees. Members of the Communication Committee and the Family Engagement Committee are made up of district staff, parents, community members, business partners, and sometimes students. The goal is to have informed ambassadors who have collective pride in sharing accurate information about our district. Participants hear about the current initiatives, share the pulse of the group they are representing, and work on marketing materials based on what is learned. Members have helped develop bus banners, fence banners, and back-to-school mailers. There is also a focus on press releases and good news updates, as well as the development of videos to help tell our stories. Auto dialers, including daily attendance calls, also fall into this area, as well as working in the public relations arena with the entire cabinet in the event of a crisis, and recruitment efforts to attract and retain both students and staff. There has been a strategic effort to brand our district, and the Office of School Support is the keeper of the graphic standards, publication processes, and the business rules that go along with this effort. This division is also responsible for district surveys that are used to solicit information from our stakeholders. Mailers are developed throughout the year, and this office also supports the use of the social media tools. If you would like to learn more about the efforts in the communication department, I have put all of the district and school Facebook pages, and I'm asking you, everyone who has not yet, please like and follow us on Facebook so you can see the amazing things happening throughout the district. I believe I have the next section again, and now I can talk about technology services. The Office of School Support oversees the technology department. This department consists of individuals skilled in the areas of network, data, communications, audiovisual equipment, and is responsible for supporting connectivity across the district. This includes hardware and software components that run over our wired and wireless networks, and cyber safety initiatives designed to protect our students and staff. This department is also tasked with updating and growing technology resources to support the demands of students and staff. Over this past year, as you can imagine, the IT department's biggest challenge was to support the move to remote learning as students and staff alike went home. This department is also responsible for providing professional development, support, and coaching for staff on best practices for enhancing instruction with technology. IT department members work closely with the Technology and Teaching Committee, TNT. The TNT committee consists of at least one representative from each campus that meet monthly to oversee the development and implementation of the technology plan and serve as role models for best practices of technology integration. The technology department utilizes a centralized help desk and electronic work order system. This system allows staff to request technology assistance through an online help desk portal. Staff enters detailed information, which a technician can immediately see and respond either in person or via remote access. Tickets are tracked and reports are used to help monitor progress of the department and promote efficiencies. In the last year, much effort was put into building online resources to support our teachers and families as we were thrust into dynamic distance learning. 3,500 tickets have been resolved since the beginning of this year. As a result of dynamic distance learning, a student and family helpline was launched, and together with the Educational Resources Department, there is also a website, a family resource place for parents. IT staff can now even remote in and provide technical assistance from afar. Much time and effort is spent on hardware and software management and data transfers to support online curriculum. And this year we saw an increase of nearly 1,700 student devices as we added Chromebooks to support our students in grades K2, working remotely. To learn more about the work of our amazing technology team, please visit our website. I've placed the link conveniently for you in this item. I will now turn it over to Mr. French, who will go over our financial and operations resources.
Thank you, Ms. Chizzy. Mr. President, governing board members, our Littleton community, I'm going to be reviewing Section C, which is talking about the financial and operational resources of the district. That would include the Business Resources Department, the Operational Services, Transportation and Food Service, all of which that I oversee on a day-to-day basis. So the business office is responsible for many of the essential day-to-day operations of the school district. Business Resources oversees the daily activities listed in this document to ensure compliance to local, state, and federal requirements, as well as to ensure schools and departments can run as efficiently and effectively as possible. Business Resources works directly with club sponsors, secretaries, school administration, and directors, ensuring they understand their operational budgets, as well as the process needed to follow and comply with district policies. If we can go to the next page. The budget process is dictated by Arizona Revised Statute and places certain timelines on when the district is required to have the governing board propose, adopt, and revise the fiscal year budget. Behind the scenes, the business office is consistently monitoring expenditures of all district funds, which are state, local, grant, and cash, because each fund has different allowable uses and requirements. You can think of district's funds as buckets of money, each having rules on how it can or must be spent. The business department's job is to know how the buckets can be used and to ensure all the rules are followed. The budget process is a year-long process and overlaps into other budget cycles. There are many times throughout the year the budget department or the business department is working on multiple fiscal years, finalizing the old budget cycle by preparing the annual financial report for board review or projecting into the next fiscal year. To give you an idea of the timeline the district works on in the budget process, you can refer to this document. On the Business Resources page, on the Business Resources website, you can find the annual expenditure budget, annual financial reports, as well as the financial recognition awards the district has received for excellence in financial reporting. If we can go to the next page. The Business Resources Department maintains several handbooks intended to help the end users with processes they are responsible for at their school sites or departments. These handbooks include student activities, auxiliary operations, tax credit, and cash handling and depositing. Copies of these handbooks are attached to this document for review. The Uniform System of Financial Records, also known as the USFR, has been developed by the Office of the Auditor General and the Arizona Department of Education. The USFR prescribes the minimum internal controls, policies, and procedures to be used by Arizona school districts for accounting, financial reporting, budgeting, and attendance reporting, among others. We have attached a link to the Auditor General's website, as well as the most recent account code reference guide. For risk management, the district uses the Arizona School Risk Retention Trust, also known as the Trust, as a property, casualty, and liability insurer. The Business Resources Department is the primary contact for the trust and works with the Operations Department to mitigate potential risks on district property. The Business Resources Department meets with the trust at least annually to review claims from the current year and to look at renewal rates for the next year. The next section I'd like to review is audits. The Business Resources Office is the central contact for many audits conducted in the district. While oversight of audits falls primarily on the business office, many departments and programs are subject to audits by various state and federal entities. These types of audits are sometimes performed on an annual basis, but others are done at random. A list of common audits is listed in the auditing section of this document. One audit I would like to touch on briefly is the annual financial statements audit and single audit provided by our external auditors. The results of these audits are used for continuous improvement of internal controls and are used by the Arizona Auditor General in creation of the classroom spending report. We have linked the latest Auditor General classroom spending report to this document here. I also oversee employee benefits. Littleton has been participating in a self-funded insurance program since 2009. The district currently offers multiple options for employees for medical, dental, and vision coverage. Employees can utilize an online benefit enrollment program and have access to view benefit elections, costs, and detailed information about all benefits offered by the district. Preventative care such as on-site mammograms, biometric screenings, and flu shots has also been made available to employees through this benefit program. Attached, you will find benefits online enrollment user guide that we provide to new hires and during open enrollment. We can go to the next section, Sue. The next section that I'd like to review a little bit is procurement. So all district procurement is overseen by Business Resources. Procurement includes, but is not limited to, land, construction, vehicles, furniture, equipment, professional and technical services, and supplies. The district must comply with school procurement rules, the USFR, Arizona Revised Statute, as well as governing board policy. For example, purchases between $10,000 and $99,999 require the district to obtain 3 written quotes for goods and services. Purchases over $100,000 require a request for proposal or invitation to bid. The Business Resources Department will bring these items to the board for approval to advertise due to the amount anticipated to be spent over the length of time of an RFP or an IFB. Due to the amount of time that this takes, it's not uncommon for these processes to take over 30 days from start to finish as far as an RFP or invitation to bid. The district can also utilize purchasing cooperatives to procure goods and services, ensure compliance with the rules and regulations, and receive competitive pricing with volume discounts. An example of this is architectural services required to build the new school at Alomar. The district was able to obtain services since we belong to a cooperative purchasing consortium. The architect that the architect has already bid on. A list of purchasing cooperatives Littleton utilizes are presented to the board on an annual basis and listed under the procurement section of this document. I think we're going to go to the next section, Sue. So this is about the operational services. Operational Services Department oversees all aspects of facility maintenance, facility use, energy management, and upkeep of athletic fields and school grounds. Other areas under this department's purview include safety, security, and emergency planning, as well as transportation. The operations department cleans and maintains approximately 691,000 square feet of district buildings and 90 acres of grounds. To do this efficiently and effectively, the department utilizes a number of programs, including but not limited to electronic work orders, an energy management system, and a preventative maintenance program. The department is able to monitor and create reports for all of these programs, allowing the district to effectively utilize taxpayer dollars allocated to these areas. A link to the operational resources webpage is attached to this document. Littleton has instituted many safety and security measures, including security surveillance, third-party alarm monitoring system, a district safety committee comprised of district and school level staff, and an electronic key fob system allowing staff access to rooms and buildings assigned to their access need. The district safety committee meets to develop and monitor required staff trainings and drills. These drills include practice safety drills, monthly fire drills, quarterly lockdown drills, and semi-annual bus evacuations. They also assist in training of district personnel in using the campus emergency response plan. A copy of that document is attached here. As a note, this document is currently under review and will be updated later this year. If we can move to so the next item here is transportation. The transportation department manages a fleet of 25 school buses ranging from special education buses to 84 passenger buses, as well as the white fleet of employee vehicles and equipment. With district-wide school choice, the transportation department operates approximately 64 bus routes per day. In a normal year, there would be over 2,100 students that are transported to school each day. In addition, there are typically 30 to 40 in-district after-school sports trips and 2 field trips per month. Student safety is the top priority of the district. With this in mind, individual buses are inspected twice daily by the driver assigned to the bus and are recorded electronically by the software the district uses to monitor buses via GPS and create a passenger listing for each trip. Attached is a link to the Transportation Services webpage. This section is talking about joint agreements that the district is allowed to enter into with other public agencies. We typically do these through intergovernmental agreements called IGAs. We have one currently with Union Elementary School District, and Littleton provides services including preventative maintenance and maintenance on their HVAC systems and other equipment, as well as vehicle maintenance on their white fleet and buses. The last section I have here is regarding nutrition services. The district has outsourced the daily operations of our food service program to a professional food service provider. This service is required to be awarded via RFP every 5 years. Since 2010, Southwest Food Service Excellence, also known as SFE, has functioned as a contracted services for Littleton and operates on reimbursement monies received from the National School Lunch Program. The food service program operates a breakfast and lunch program to ensure meals are nutritionally analyzed and meet federal and state standards. SFE has been highly flexible during this time of uncertainty and have fed the community and students throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. The district has worked with SFE to develop strategies, including bulk meal pickups and bus routes to increase participation to ensure no child goes hungry in our district boundaries. We have also included a link to the food service webpage here as well. Those were my sections. Did we have any questions?
Any of the board members have any questions or comments they'd like to address to anyone that's presented here this evening?
I have none.
John, if you got your hand up there, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. And thank you to all the staff. That was really comprehensive and quick. I appreciate the brevity and all the information that was provided. I have kind of a specific question that I actually came up today. I don't know if this is a question for you, Mr. French, or maybe Dr. Freeman, but in the JLBC presentation to caucus today, they mentioned that school funding this year was exceeding the constitutional aggregate expenditure limitation, and that districts may be required to pay an equal share of that money back to get the state back under that limitation. Has this been considered, or is there any additional information you can share on this at this time?
Dr. Freeman, did you want to take this, or did you want me to take a shot at it?
I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
Thank you for that question, Mr. Rader. So what has happened, especially as a result of the governor's 20 by 20 initiative and some of the other efforts to get the state back up to its spending level pre-recession, because we had dropped down so much, we've been running into this aggregate level problem. And what's happened in past sessions, Mr. Rader, is the legislature has passed some special enabling legislation. So there is a problem if they don't do that. And so there are, to make everybody aware of the options, if there's nothing done to make an adjustment in that, then spending in the state has to be reduced. And the Department of Education, which actually general fund monies go through to come back to us, has the lion's share of the general fund expenditures. And so I think more than half of the general fund goes through the Department of Education. So obviously, if you're going to have to make a cut, the biggest burden of that would come from the part of the general fund budget allocation, which is the biggest. The state operates on a lot of other revenues, so the operation of the state is actually probably only 1/3 funded through the general fund, but the general fund is more than half to the Department of Education. So we'll see how that plays out. It's come up before, and it's been a concern, and usually we figure out a way to deal with that. The authority of the board and the authority of the district hasn't changed. So, but it could impact the authority moving forward in the next fiscal year. I hope that answers your question. The short answer is we'll have to see.
Thank you, Dr. Freeman.
Any others? If not, I'd just like to thank Dr. Freeman, Dr. Kelly, Ms. Vanderwater, Ms. Chizzy, Mr. French for their time and effort in making this presentation. They've done an excellent job condensing it and going down, and it makes it really nice for us to have this review and just see what great things are going on in our school district.
Mr. President, I would just add that usually this is pretty routine and we're making incremental changes. The kind of things that the school district, the state and the nation have been going through in the last year have really caused us to, dig in, question, and reflect on a lot of things. And so some of the changes, that are happening, we'll probably hang on to, and some of them, we're looking forward to changing back to what's a more familiar delivery system. And we'd love to be in a situation where we were, dealing with our community and with the growth and supporting families in a way that's more stable and predictable. But I would just say, we should expect some more changes to come, and appreciate everybody's patience as we work to, keep our hand on the keep our hands on the wheel and our eyes, on the course we've set. And I too want to just express appreciation to staff. There was more work went into preparing for this meeting this year than is typically needed, and people did a great job.
Thank you. It just kind of shows the leadership we have here and the desire to be a great family and help one another in all that they're doing. So with that, item number 6, Dr. Kelly, would you like to go ahead and present your focus school program?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. This evening, as we finish our orientation, I'd like to give a little background on the school focused programs because we have a couple new members, and just a walk down memory lane before we take a look at some coming things. So in 2015 and 16, the district embarked on a bold plan to allow students to choose their school regardless of neighborhood boundaries based on content interest. So the 15-16 school year was a planning and marketing year, with the result being 3 focus academies that opened in the 16-17 school year. The initial academy foci included the first STEM academy at Estrella Vista, along with leadership at Country Place and service learning at Tres Rios. In addition, a program located at the Underdown Learning Center was open that provided an intervention for students that was an alternative to long-term suspension. This program was developed as a mitigation strategy to address the pipeline to prison problem that faces the educational community as a whole. In the following academic year, we opened the second STEM Academy at Quinton with a focus on health and life science. The focus of the original STEM Academy was narrowed to engineering, and the new Fine Arts Academy opened. In 2018-19, Littleton STEM Academy kicked off the school year with the focus being on technology, and the district continued to work on choices that met the needs for all students. The district obtained full approval for an online academy at the beginning of the 2021 school year in anticipation of needing options for families during the pandemic. This option was suspended for the current academic year as nearly all learning has taken place online due to COVID-19. This option will resume for Littleton families during the upcoming year. We will also begin planning an accelerated prep academy at our new school location within the Alomar development. Over this period of time, we have worked to provide both academic opportunities and social emotional supports for the diverse population within our community. We will continue to be innovative in our efforts to meet the needs of our students, not only in our general education programs, but also for students that have exceptional needs, such as special education, gifted and talented English language learners, and those that are economically challenged, which includes those that are homeless, in foster care, or are children of migrant workers. An additional opportunity for students will be available during the 21-22 school year at Collier Elementary, as they have worked collaboratively with staff and community partners to develop a focus of their own within the tradition of Littleton's school choice. Tonight, I would like to introduce Mr. Brian DeLesio, proud principal of Collier Elementary School, to provide program highlights for the newest addition to our School Choice Academy model. The program overview will be presented this evening, and the board will need to formalize a name change at a future meeting. And Mr. DeLesio, who is here, I'm going to turn it over to him, and Ms. Chizzy will run his presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kelly. Good evening, Governing Board President, Governing Board members, Dr. Freeman, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present the Collier Focus School tonight. As you know, Collier is the last school to create a focus around our daily learning and yearly outcomes. This proposal has been 1.5 years in the making, and I'm very excited to share it with you. It has been the belief by many that our students need the financial literacy to create, manage, and accumulate wealth, as well as make the informed decisions about their financial future. I think about my own daughters and their understanding of money. We have spent numerous hours discussing financial responsibility, savings, loans, and interest. I have these discussions and hope that they will not make the same mistakes that many of us make regarding large purchases, credit cards, and not saving for the future. We should be able to teach our children to be in control of their finances instead of money controlling them. So I'm excited to propose the newest focus school for Littleton School District, the Collier Business Academy of Financial Literacy. This name was created through staff surveys in collaboration with the district office. Our vision would be to prepare students for the real world by showing them how to generate wealth and effectively management, how to create jobs which make their communities more robust, and how to apply entrepreneurial thinking to the workplace. These lifelong skills help students make informed, intelligent decisions about their future and foster financial literacy that will be highly useful in the business world. So here we have a short video from Junior Achievement that discusses the program and the benefits to students.
At Junior Achievement of Arizona, we teach kids about work and money. We prepare them for the real world. We educate them about financial literacy, workforce readiness, and entrepreneurship.
These are items that we as adults now think, why didn't I learn that back when I was in school, or why didn't I learn it earlier on? Because it might be something we took with us when we got our first job or when we entered college and we had to pay for things on our own all of a sudden. And I think as an adult, we look back at that and think, I wish I would have been prepared. So now as educators, I want to prepare my students for that.
We prepare kids for the real world by providing curriculum in the classroom during the school day. They take those skills that they learn in the classroom and they put them to the test in real life simulations where they make financial and career decisions as if they were adults.
My loan for my company was $133.
How much in real life do you think it costs to start a business?
A lot more than $133, probably, like, because you have to rent out the place, you have to buy all the supplies, and like so much more things that you have to do. You have to hire employees and all that, so it'd be difficult.
I think going through the whole simulation, the whole experience for a day makes them realize how much is involved in running a business and in being an employee and what they have to do, and they're feeling that rush and that need to move on to the next task, and oh, I only have this amount of time for lunch and now I got to go on my break and buy something and then come back on time and not be late to work. And I think they just get a different feel for it than when they see adults go to work in the morning and come home at night and they don't see the behind the scenes part of it.
Yes, I am a sales manager and I'm very excited to do this job.
Why are you excited to do this job?
I don't really know what a sales manager really does, and it's sort of to know if, let's say I do get this job in the future, that I'll be able to refer back to 6th grade and know what to do or what a sales manager does.
Our goal is to create an experience that students can learn from and enjoy, and hopefully it leaves a lasting impression that they'll remember for the rest of their lives.
The best thing that possibly happened at Midtown was actually just going around and seeing all my friends and how hard they're working just to pay off their loan, but yet it's also fun.
This experience is invaluable. Not only do these kids learn how to work and manage their finances, but they're also learning about career opportunities and how interdependent we are on one another in our community. Setting those foundations now, even if it's a more basic understanding, they're going to really be able to run with that in the future when it's higher stakes for them.
At Junior Achievement of Arizona, we
Sure, our presentation will be up momentarily. There we go. Thank you. All right. One of the many great things about partnering with Junior Achievement is that their lessons and curriculum are integrated into the current Arizona history and social sciences standards with an emphasis on civics and economics. The things that our teachers are teaching every day with these standards. So it won't cause much difference with their daily instruction. And as you can see here, these standards are linked from year to year and progress as students grow older until they learn about citizenship and civic engagement in today's society when they promote as 8th graders. So I'll give you a brief overview of what our students will be learning in each grade as they progress through the Collier Business Academy. In the lower grades, students will get an introduction to personal economics, the role of money, entrepreneurship, and work readiness. Next slide, please. Thank you. In the middle grades, students will learn about starting a business and making smart decisions about managing money. And in 5th grade, there is a cumulative activity for students to participate in. Junior Achievement, or JA BizTown, combines in-class learning with day-long visit to a simulated town. This allows elementary school students to operate banks, manage restaurants, write checks, and vote for mayor. The program helps students connect the dots between what they'll learn in school and the real world. In the upper grades, students will gain the necessary skills in business startup, personal branding, job hunting skills, and preparing them for future careers. In 7th grade, students will have another cumulative activity. JA Finance Park comprises of a curriculum and simulation that helps students build a foundation on which they can make intelligent financial decisions that last a lifetime, including decisions related to income, expenses, savings, and credit. The Collier Business Academy will also engage our 8th grade students in meaningful opportunities to prepare them for their future careers. JA Inspire brings together the business community and local schools that is designed to help launch middle school students into their futures, high school, college, and careers beyond. JA Be Entrepreneurial introduces students to the essential elements of a practical business plan, and then challenges them to start an entrepreneurial venture while still in high school. Students will learn about advertising, competitive advantages, financing, marketing, and product development. We understand the importance of community and local support of our schools and of our students. If our proposal is approved, we'll be reaching out to local financial companies as well as Arizona State University to create partnerships around our financial literacy focus. And as you see here, based on the Junior Achievement website, there are very few schools that offer all the opportunities that the Collier Business Academy could offer, especially on the west side of the valley. So you can see added a little Collier triangle there on the west side. We also believe it's important to continue to incorporate Kids at Hope within our new focus. The knowledge and skills that students will gain while attending the Collier Business Academy will prepare them for possible careers in business administration, financial planning, or even owning their own business. We now have 2 short videos, one from Miss Amanda Steele, who's one of our middle school social studies teacher, as well as a 7th grade student, Giselle Mesa, to share their thoughts on how this focus will benefit our students and prepare them for the real world.
Hi, my name is Mandy Steele, and I teach 6th through 8th grade history and social sciences at Collier. I feel the Junior Achievement Program is essential for students to understand the relevance and importance of personal finance, economics, and we'll start off the building blocks for business. With the curriculum provided, which includes lessons, simulations, journaling, problem-solving strategies, it will be easily fit into the curriculum that we're doing right now and currently in history and social science curriculum. I realize that the Junior Achievement enriches the students' learning and provides them with real-life examples and connections. These connections will allow students to see the importance of financial literacy now, currently, and how it's going to affect them later in life. Which I feel is really beneficial with me personally having a son that's going into high school and will start taking financial literacy in high school. I'm really excited about starting using this program. I think it's really going to benefit our kids. Thank you.
And there should be one more video.
I'm a 7th grader at Collier. I'm very excited for this program because it's a great way to get started off with your future and start seeing what the real world will bring to you. It will give us opportunity to learn how to save money, manage and make summary investments, and how to start a business. I'm very excited for this program.
All right, well, thank you again for allowing me to propose the Collier Business Academy. And do you have any questions that I could try to answer?
Any members of the board like to make any comments?
Mr. President, this is Mr. Rader.
Go ahead, John.
I just wanted to note that I think the partnership with Junior Achievement is exciting, and I think it's a great opportunity. So thank you, Mr. D'Alessio, for that presentation. I'm excited about the new program.
Thank you. We are very excited at Collier for sure.
Any of the other board members like to make any comments? If not, I'd just like to make one here, maybe in concluding here, that over the years, I've spent many opportunities to teach budgeting and finances to different groups that I've had in. I think the thing that was most enlightening to me was a thing called a credit card. I brought to one of my meetings a piece of paper that had my billing on the front of it, and on the back of it in very fine letters, I passed around the group right there, the back of it, with a magnifying glass. And as they actually read that the unpaid balance was between 24 and 32% interest, most of them decided that they were going to start paying off a little bit more to get it done quicker. They just had not read that finding or even looked at, the idea of what is interest and what is. So I'm really excited about teaching our kids to know a little bit more about finances and what they can do to prepare themselves and their families for the future. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
If there's no other,
Mr. President, if I might,
please.
We are, we're getting ready to start all of the school choice initiatives. So we'll bring that back to the board to consider the name of the school change to an academy. But kind of attending to the comments of the board, I'm feeling like we're not going to need to make any modifications to the proposal based on the feedback tonight. So we're going to bring that forward for action at another meeting, pretty much the way you heard it tonight.
Great. I think we all will appreciate that. And that is, again, the various choices for anybody to choose whatever they would like. If there's nothing else from any of the staff or any of the board, I think item number 7 is adjournment. Can I have a motion to adjourn this evening?
This is Amy, and I move that we adjourn at 7:34.
Thank you, Amy.
This is Kathy. I'll second that.
Thank you, Kathy.
Mr. Nielsen,
Aye.
Mrs. Contreras,
Aye.
Mr. Rader,
Aye.
Mrs. Reyes,
Aye.
Mrs. Soshanek.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All of you, be safe, be careful.
Good night.
Good night.
Hi, everybody.